You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life, career, yoga, and meditation coach. And I am so thrilled to be here. We have had a banner day today. This is our fourth broadcast. We've got another one coming up after this. And this is our presentation platform where experts come and share their knowledge in bite-sized learning lessons of 15 minutes. Let's bring our guests on today. We have Punam and Diann. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
It's so great to see both of you. And of course, Diann, you've been here before. Punam, this is your first time. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
I'm wondering if you would each share a little bit about who you are and the value that you bring to this world. So I'll start with you, Diann, if that's okay.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's great to be talking to you. So I'm a children's author, and I have a passion to write books about loving yourself and being kind to others. And it's just a real blast to go into the schools and share my ideas, my thoughts, my books, watch the kids giggle, and help them learn to love and embrace their own imagination. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Diann. And I just want to mention, I said to Punam before the show that Diann is the connector. She's the global networker. And as a result of a connection that she made for me with Red O'Loughlin, I now have finished my first book, and I couldn't have done it without Red. So thank you, Diann.
You're welcome.
Okay, Punam, let's hear from you. Share with us a little bit about who you are and the value you're bringing to this beautiful world.
So thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. So I am Punam. I am a parent impact coach. I am a brand new author of the book, Parent Power, Navigate School and Beyond. And what I do is really focus on helping parents understand the school system, break down the barriers that they may be feeling, the apprehension they may be feeling, and really becoming partners in their children's education. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, so I don't want to spoil everything right up front.
I love it. I love it. I love this synergy between the two of you also. That's kind of cool. Okay, so Diann has volunteered to go first, which we love. Thank you so much, Diann. So we'll hear from you. And just so you remember how things are going to go, I'm going to spotlight you, and I'm going to mute Punam and myself, and then I'll put up the 15-minute timer, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. Just wait till I have the timer up, please.
Make sure I can see it.
There it is. You're ready to go. Take it away.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Better You course for 15 minutes. I'm very excited to share it with you. Today, my topic is about what I call the 3 S's in writing. We have self, show, and success. So let's talk about self. In self, it's all about being true to yourself and your voice and what you want to get across to the reader. Now, when you make that decision that you want to get your stories out there and you want to write, it can't be like, oh my gosh, did you see the Harry Potter movie? It was so fantastic. And I love magic. And I'm going to write me a story too about magic so I can be a millionaire. The chances are of that happening, I'm not so sure. So the point about writing is that you have this story, you have this passion inside of you that you want to share with each others because you think it's so important and it's a part of you. And that's part of the host self and being true to your own voice. And I do a whole thing on how to be true to your own voice. But what I want you to understand right now is, so you have an idea and you just start writing. And as they always say, to be true to yourself is to first write about things that you know. And all of us in school have heard about what, where, when, and how. And that's the basics. And that's a great place to start. So by writing about something you know, you already have research done. And so let's talk about the setting. So you want to have a setting that deals with where and when and the timing of when, the century it takes place. Most likely it's going to be right now because you understand now very well. And the setting, you want it to be a place that you can describe beautifully because you understand it. The research is done because it's a part of you. And then you have the characters. You want characters that you know, that you understand, that you can describe. So the how do they dress? How do they look? How do they speak? Do they speak roughly? Do they speak softly? And all of that is part of the character building, and it's the how and what they wear and things like that. And when you can do that, and it's part of somebody that you can describe. So sometimes what I do is I'll put the real person's name in because I understand that person, and then I take that name out and put in a different name because I have the character that I want, and it's easy for me to do the description then. And then you have the whole plot where it's, what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, the highs and lows of the storyline. And again, by writing about what you know, it's easy to achieve it successfully. And that's self. But in that, I don't mean to say that you should never write about what you know, because then you're not growing as a writer. So take, for example, I decided I wanted to write about my grandmother and the things that she taught me, and the inspiration that she gave me. And then I thought, okay, this is good. But what I didn't know is how hard that was going to be. But in writing that story, I discovered that I needed to do a lot of research because it was going to be historical fiction. I knew my grandma. She was a part of my life forever, and great grandma as well, because mama had me when she was young, because most women married around 18. And so mama had me at 21. So I knew my great grandmother, but I knew her as a great grandmother. I needed to go back and understand the time period she grew up and my great grandpa grew up. That way I could understand how they were going to be, their style of parenting, so I could be true to where I was going with my story. And then I had to understand what life was like for my grandmother as a young woman. And I learned so much. And so, for example, did you know teenager did not exist? That word did not exist. But thanks to the women and the people of the 1920s growing up, teenagers that word became very popular by the 1950s. And so there was this whole research. Once I understood the politics and how technology was changing, I was able to get the voice that I needed to write that story and to be true to myself. In my research, for me personally, I didn't go read other novels because I didn't want it to interfere with how I wanted to sound. I researched using the encyclopedias online and history.com. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And What Happened When is a great website. And so study. And I kept a journal of different things. I studied how people spoke and the lingo and everything. And then it just came together and I was able to write. I was able to be true to myself. And that's what I would like you to be, is true to yourself with your voice, because you are unique. And what you have to say, I want to hear it the way you speak, not someone else, because then I know I'm going to enjoy your story. The next one is show. Now, this one was a very hard one for me. And when I think back on it, I think about how probably most of my teachers tried to share it with me, and I didn't quite get it. So show and tell. If you were to speak to my publisher / editor, she would tell you she spent a lot of time with me, because I would write a story, write a story and send it in. And she was like, oh my gosh, Diann, it's wonderful what you're saying, but it's so dull. You write so many adverbs and so many adjectives, and you're telling me how to think that I don't get to enjoy the story, and you're bogging it down. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And then she had to kind of explain some things to me. And it took me a while to get it. I even had to go and just really practice writing that had nothing to do with my story, but just writing how to change a tell sentence to a show sentence. And so I actually have some examples for you, and I wrote them down because I want to save some time. So I'm going to read them to you. This is telling. Connie Ann is my childhood friend. I could tell her anything and everything about me. Now for show. Connie Ann and I met when we were 4 years old, when she and her family moved down the street from our house. She had 5 sisters and 1 brother. I instantly knew we would be friends, as I had a big family too. Well, by sharing it and writing like that, the reader is able to embrace Connie Ann, figure out, where we're going with the story with Connie Ann, instead of me going, Connie Ann was my very best friend, and I'm going to be best friends for her ever. Which one would you rather read? So I truly understood that. Show. This one. Oh my goodness. This one is probably one of my favorites I came up with. The little girl stayed in bed because she was afraid a monster was under her bed. Okay, that's okay. We understand there's a monster under the bed, but it's kind of boring. But what about the little girl shivered under the covers as she kept hearing whimpering under the bed. She screamed for her mother, who quickly came in, and their new puppy came running out from under the bed. The little girl looked bright-eyed in her mom, and she started to laugh when she told her mommy she thought a monster was under her bed. Has much more excitement too, and it allows the reader to be more intimate, to create a relationship and understand why the kid was shivering, and then to find out it was the puppy, because the puppy was brand new. She wasn't used to hearing that. So that's showing and telling. And the last one, in the few minutes I have left, is success. And this one I'm extremely passionate about. And success, I say, it's layering. You think success could be all about, I made it to the top 10 of the New York Times. I'm telling you to celebrate each moment. The fact you came up with a story, success. The fact that your publisher okayed it, go write it, success. The fact that you wrote it, success. If you had pictures to go with it, the paintings are finished, success. Every teeny step is a success. If you celebrate each little step, You will always feel good inside about writing. If you wait till it's totally finished, you could get bogged down and think, oh my gosh, I need to write on my book. Oh my gosh, I need to write on my book. Oh my gosh, I need to write on my book. And it becomes a pain and you can't think clearly. So celebrate every single step towards success until that book is delivered. And it's like having a baby. You've delivered the book and you're holding it in your hot little hands. So my 3 S's today are self, show, and success. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Yay! That was fantastic, Diann. I loved it.
Thanks. I went a little over. Sorry. I got too excited.
I wish you would come and read to me here. I just love your animation. You're such an incredible storyteller. But as I promised, we're going to go to commercial and then we'll come back and talk. All right. But great job. We're going to hear a commercial from one of our sponsors. And who would that be? Oh, it's Diann. Okay, here we go.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at DiannFloydBoehm.com. Visit DiannFloydBoehm.com. That's DiannFloydBoehm.com.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can get through a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
My stomach issues make me want to stay home, but that's not an option. No matter how prepared I am, I still feel nervous. Enough is enough.
If this sounds familiar, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation can offer you support and connect you with a specialist.
Don't keep your symptoms to yourself. Get help at spillyourguts.org today.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. I almost forgot the name there for a second. But anyway, this is Lessons from the Best Coaches, Consultants, and Trusted Advisors. I'm here with Diann and Punam, two of our experts. So Diann, you just did your presentation, and I'm going to defer to Punam to see if you'd like to provide any feedback.
Oh my gosh, I wish I had talked to you when I first started writing my book. Because
Thank you.
I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about how I wrote my book. And every day I woke up going, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. And so there was a lot of self-inflicted pressure that I put on myself, where I hope if I write another book that I will heed your advice and enjoy the process more. I will say that one of the most thrilling parts about writing a book, once it's written and it's edited and it's, out the door to be printed, when you get that first copy and you hold it in your hand and you're like, those are all mine.
I know.
Every single word in there I have, belabored for months and months and months to make sure that I am bringing value and vision to my audience. So your description of showing, especially for children's books, is just fantastic, because I would much rather read She's Shivering Under the Covers, because I can feel it. I can embrace that emotion, especially as a child. So thank you so much for this. And the other piece that I'm very impressed by is the sense of self and being true to ourselves. So many times, and I think especially in the climate we're in right now, that we try to be what someone else expects us to be, or they perceive that we should be. And the fact that you're saying, be true to yourself. I know you're talking about writing, but I think you can't write until you're true to yourself from within, and then only can you begin that writing process. So I was just enamored.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. And
Wow.
did you want to add something more?
Oh, I was just going to say, so I'll be contacting you when I write my next book, and I need to be, brought down off the ledge because I want to get it all done immediately.
I love the connections being made. It's terrific. So everything that Punam said, I agree. I had that written down. I love the 3 S's. I also liked how you talked about success is layering, because I think that's so important. And I've learned that it's taken a couple of years, like 50 some years, to learn about the layering piece, but you have to celebrate each part of the journey, regardless of what you're doing. And in terms of self and authenticity, I've shared this before, but when I first started this platform in August, I came out here, I'd be like, welcome to Rapping, like some weird voice. It's not me. And I just wasn't being me. And people were saying, we can tell that you're putting on some persona. And I think it was because I was so nervous and I thought that's what people expected. So now I'm myself, and that's really important when you write a book. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everything you said. It's so very kind. And I do understand what you mean, Dr. Jacalyn, when you're starting your own show. So I have the Story Garden, where I read to young kids and invite authors also to come and read their stories. And when I think about the first time I did it, it was the same thing, And then finally I realized I just need to be me. Like, I tell people to be me, but then I was like, oh no, I need to act. I'm like, no.
Well, we learn the lessons, right? And then we share it with others. So thank you again, Diann. Punam, are you ready to go, or should we go to commercial break? It's up to you.
It's up to you. Whatever you'd like to do. I'm ready, or I can wait.
go. Let's put you up there. Let me spotlight you.
Okay, here we go.
Can't wait until I put up the little timer. Let me
Sure.
just scroll around and find it. All right, take it away, Punam.
The timer's going?
The timer's there. Yes, there it is.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yep.
So, hey guys, again, I'm Punam. I am a parent impact coach. I am an author, and I forgot to tell you, I'm also a podcaster. I have a weekly podcast that focuses on different aspects of education and parenting, teaching, administration, all the bits and pieces that make up our education system. So, I am a teacher by trade. I taught for a lot of years. And when I had my own children, I became a parent advocate because I wanted to be a partner in my children's schools. And I was able to walk that fine line because I had been an educator and I knew how the system worked. So I was able to be an effective partner. But not everybody comes to their child's school with that information and that knowledge base. So that's what my job is. That's what I want to encourage you to do, is become involved. And I'm going to tell you how to do so with a few strategies. And in those strategies, I want you to remember that it's really easy. These are simple sound bites. They're not complex. There is definitely not rocket science. It is just thinking about it, being mindful about it, and then creating a habit of doing these things. And you will be amazed at the relationships that you're going to build. So let's get started. So I mentioned the first one already, and that is establish a relationship with your child's teacher. You know, we all have to get orientation. We all have to, bring their supplies in and, do all those jump through all those hoops. But what we really should be doing in those early days of school is connecting with our child's teacher, letting them know that you're there, that you're willing to stand next to them, support them. And it's so much easier to do it on the front end when there's not an issue or a challenge or a grade or a behavior issue. If you do it on the front end, then it's so much easier when those issues arise. And we're going to talk about those in a few minutes as well. But the first thing is to establish that relationship. And I'm going to tell you that you should probably check in with your child's teacher at least once every 2 weeks. And I say every 2 weeks because that's 10 days. And if your kid, we're in school 180 days, that's 18 times. Minimum that you're going to be connecting. And that's really important. You can do that. But how do you connect? How do you make sure that your teacher is aware of what you're thinking and vice versa? Super simple. Every single one of us holds a device in our hands, probably more hours than we would like to acknowledge. Send your teacher an email. Just say, hey, I want to see if Johnny's doing okay. Or, we're having this challenge at home. Are you seeing any ramifications at school? Instant connection. And I'll tell you, in elementary school, we see a lot of that because parents want to be the homeroom moms and they want to do all the fun activities. We don't see that in middle and high school because those fun activities are gone. And we think that our job does not entail being in their schools. Well, it doesn't necessarily being physically there, but it does mean being connected. So if you think about what our middle and high school students are exposed to, they're exposed to a whole world that you and I had no idea about. We didn't grow up with these devices and these accessibilities. So we need to be I call us the trailblazers, actually. We're the trailblazer generation as we're learning, but we're also having to teach and navigate. So we need to be involved in those later school years with our children and our schools. Remember that the teacher and you are on the same side. The teacher's there to help your child be successful And that's what parents want as well. So when we're coming from the same, when we're wanting to get to the same goal, it's easy for us to come together and have dialogue. And I will assure you that if you have respectful, open dialogue with your child's teacher, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Teachers want to know that you care. And like I was saying, when we get to middle and high school, our teachers go from elementary school to having 25 students to middle and high school having over 125 students. It's important for us to reach out to our teachers and let them know that we're there, because it is hard for them to manage 125 plus students if they feel like they're on an island by themselves. And they certainly aren't. And the next thing kind of goes along with that, and that is because our teachers have so much on their plate and these enormous responsibilities of raising our children, we've got to be patient with them, because guess what? They're human beings and they're going to falter just like we do, just like our children do. So we need to be patient with them. And again, it goes back to having that mutual respect in our relationship with them and giving each other the benefit of the doubt. So what happens when an issue arises? Your child got a bad grade, they're having trouble in school socially, they're having some emotional issues. What happens? Well, it's easy to go in and say, well, my child deserves this, and you need to do this for my child, and yada, yada, yada. So what happens after that? We need to be solution-oriented. We need to be talking about what the answers are. The challenge is the challenge. However it is that we have to deal with the challenge, it has to be solution-oriented. Because if we don't create a solution, then we're exacerbating a problem. And our teachers, our administrators, and our parents have to be solution-oriented. And I will tell you, I have 4 adult children who are now all in college. But when my children had issues in school, I always had a solution. I had already processed what are my options, what are my child's options, and what does it look like from a school perspective. That's huge, because then I'm not the bully walking into the door. I am a partner walking into the door and wanting to sit down and have that conversation. I will also say that you need to become involved. And it changes from year to year, from teacher to teacher, from elementary to middle to high school. But there's still opportunities for you to be involved. It could be as simple as making phone calls. It could be as simple as sending snacks in if it's in your financial budget. It can also even be just patting another student on the back as you're walking through the halls to pick up your child. And you see one of your child's friends and you ask them how their day was. That's involvement. I'll tell you a quick story. My birthday was last week, and as Facebook does, it just blasts it everywhere. But of all the messages I got 2 from 2 students that my children went to elementary and high school and middle school with. And they were wishing me a happy birthday because I had made an impact on their life, because I cared enough to ask them how they were and did they need help? Was there anything I could do? Because their parents happened to work full time and were not able to be there. And that was okay. That was okay. We each have our role. But those are the rewards that you can't put a price tag on. And you may not see it in the moment, but those days, like I just described last week, those are priceless. I'll never forget that. And my children have been out of high school for almost 4 years now. So it's important, it's so important that we get involved in however way we can, because you never know which child you're going to impact. and who you're going to change just by smiling or patting a child on the back who may desperately need it. The most important thing, and well, I'll leave you with two very important things. One is communicate, communicate, communicate. We do that in our own personal lives. We communicate with our significant other or our family members or our friends. We're very communicative, but we don't do that with our schools. This is nurturing a relationship, and the more we communicate, the more we gain, not only for our child, but for us as well. So you have to communicate. Again, you can do it every 10 days. That's 18 times a year. That's not a lot. So I know you can do that. The last thing that I would like to share with you is our children are watching how we react and how we interact with people. We are our children's role models. And when we are respectful, kind, compassionate, and empathetic, that's what our children learn. These are learned behaviors, and we can change them. So if we are interacting with our school faculty and staff in a respectful manner, guess what? Your child will too. They will learn to respect their teachers and administrators. That's a life skill, because when they go off to work, guess what? They're going to have a boss, and they're going to have to listen and understand and comply. And comply sounds negative, but it's not. But there are rules, and you have to follow them. So these are life skills that we're teaching. So we as parents have to model behavior that we want to instill in our children. And I'll share with you a very quick story that the mayor of the city where we used to live, he and I were good friends. And he said, your kids are doing great. I'm so proud of them. How did you raise them to be so kind and compassionate? And I'm like, I didn't. I said, you have 4 children. You understand. You have to model it. And they're going to do what we do. They're going to see and relax. And they're going to see and follow through on what we are doing. So we have to be models in our children's lives. And in closing, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for giving me this opportunity. If I could very quickly just plug my podcast, EDU Me. It's a weekly podcast. It's found on every platform that you can imagine. And then my book, Parent Power, is on pre-order on Amazon and retail bookstores around the nation. So feel free to check it out as well. And as I sign off on every podcast, I will sign off here as well. Please remember, we are working together to educate and empower every one of our children better. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. You nailed it. That was a great presentation on a topic that we've not had anyone present on yet. So thank you so much for doing that. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come back, and Diann and I will have a chat with you about the presentation. I want to say hello to Maxine Kerr, to John Cataldi. John and I will be hosting a room on Clubhouse later tonight at 8 o'clock, the Connect and Mingle room. He's the house radio. And I'd also like to say hi to Frank Petrulli and to John Wills. So thank you so much for watching. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back. Right now, we're going to hear from Zane Carson Carruth, and she's also an author and an etiquette expert. Here we are.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't? You'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello, hello. We are back on A Better You, and we've changed places. We have. A little secret. I prefer to be over where Punam is this way. I don't like this spot. I feel like I look older here. I feel like I look younger over there.
I don't think there's a bad spot for you, Dr. Jacalyn. I think you're great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That was a great presentation for so many reasons. There's been a lot of press about a teacher that was yelling at students, and it was caught on it was taped, and then also board of directors, and the meeting blew up. And anyway, I think it's so important for people to be involved. I don't have any children, but just thinking about it, when I was growing up, you need to have your parents involved. And aside from the teacher relationship, the parent-teacher relationship, I think also for the child, it makes you feel like you're really cared and really loved, that your family member wants to be there for you. Diann, what are your thoughts on this, since you are a teacher too?
Oh my goodness, I was so excited with your presentation. Number one, you were speaking about something I'm very passionate about. So you probably don't know, my background is teaching. So I was an educator for many years. And so once I'm back in the classroom with the kiddos, I'm like totally in my zone. I just love it. First of all, I want to thank you for what you do, because it's so necessary. I always taught in private school because for me, I think public schools are way, way too big. And I like more of the schools in the neighborhood, so to speak, so that parents and kids can walk to school and feel like they're part of a community, instead of my oldest daughter did go to public school because there wasn't a private school where we lived for high school at that time. And so to me, a graduating class of 1,000 is just too much. And so I want to thank you, first of all, for making sure that parents knew that you were also speaking to them if you had middle school or high school, because you're absolutely correct that sometimes we parents think, okay, well, we've made it through the first 5 years, they're on their own and we don't need to do that anymore. When in actuality, they probably need you more than ever because of the way that kiddos can be so cruel to one another. And of course, that can happen in elementary school. But the fact that you provide the service is so powerful. And for most parents now, or both people are working and trying to, and I loved how you also said you're a trailblazer, but you're also a navigator. Fabulous, because it's so true. And not only are you navigating with how to make sure your child has success, is also you're navigating just life in general. So for me as a parent, for example, I became the crock pot mom. I mean, I had everything in that crock pot in the morning. And by the time we got home and the kids were called, I called it the bewitching hour. And they were like, and I'm like so exhausted from teaching all day that, oh, I love you, crock pot, dinner was ready. So I really appreciated what you said. And you're absolutely right that, and that we are on the same side. And I can see sometimes parents, they have the personality that they're always a fighter, and they just automatically look at a teacher, well, I'm going to let her know who my kid is. And but I think that if we can tell parents to chill for a moment and say, look, we want the best for your kid. And I also appreciate, I know I'm taking over, Dr. Jacalyn, I apologize, but okay. I'm so passionate about success, and the fact that you brought up success, and that we teachers are on the same side as your child. We want them to succeed, and it's not always going to be pretty. I mean, I can remember even in high school crying in my English class because the paper came back all red. And I'm like, but I just loved my story. It was so creative. It was about Elvis Presley, how could it not be good, right? And so, I couldn't see beyond the red. But, luckily I had a great mom who was like, take a deep breath. Your teacher's trying to help you. Where another parent might go, how dare her write like that, And so the fact that you're there to help remind parents and to get them through and have success for everyone, I just really, really love you. I just want to grab you and hug you. Oh, wait,
Come on over.
We have to bump.
Come on over. You know where I am.
That's right.
And Diann, I so appreciate what you're saying, and I'm so grateful for what you have shared. Part of it is, I think, that we forget that we're all human beings, and when we're dealing with human beings who are trying to raise little human beings into big human beings, it's a process. Everyone's learning. And, I was telling somebody this yesterday. I'm like, parenting is just a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get that day. Are you tired? Are they tired? What are the expectations? But when we are able to step back and remember that our teachers and our administrators are really on our side, and they can be our partner in dealing with this. And I'll share a really quick story if that's okay.
Sure.
But in high school, when my children were in high school, they started at 7:00 in the morning, which is, an ugly hour to have teenagers start school. And they were often getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep at night. They were grouchy. And I would text their first period teacher and say, listen, I'm sending you Oscar the Grouch today. Good luck. Mm-hmm. But what it did was it allowed the teacher to say, okay, they had a rough night. They're tired. They're probably didn't eat breakfast. They're grouchy. Let's just handle them with kid gloves for the first few minutes to kind of see. And I would every time get a text back from the first period teacher and say, it was a great first period. They're going to be fine. And that all comes from, it took me 30 seconds to send that text or email or note. And there's a lot of merit in that.
Right. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was something else I loved, is how you said to connect. And of course, we didn't have cell phones when I was a teacher, no. But I got the notes, and then it was like really hard to figure out how I was get that note back to the mom. But you are so right. Connecting is so important in a relationship with teachers, and teachers are scared too, especially if you're brand new. You're so green, behind the ears, and so relationships are tough. And also to remember that I told my kiddos, I go, as your hormones are changing, you need to remember my hormones are changing too. Hello. And I actually had to make a sign that for my husband and my children. And it said, I am not a wife. I am not a mommy. I'm just me, and I'm taking my bath.
Do not enter.
Do not enter, right. And I remember hearing one of the kids say, shh, don't bother Mama. She'll come out as a grouch, and we want her happy. And when I came back out, and I think in that role modeling, like you talked about, it showed the kids that sometimes we have to step away too, just to feel good. And I think that connects with schools as well.
Absolutely.
And for parents,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I hope you guys will connect outside of the show. So
yes.
Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap up, I just want to be able to have our audience who's on the radio listening, if we can have your contact information. So we'll start with Punam. I'm streaming your information, but please let us know where we can reach you.
Yeah, so you can reach me at edu-me.net, or you can just email me at no, I don't even know. Hang on. I lost all of it. Out the window. edu at gmail.com, and you can contact me. I am happy to connect. If your school is looking for someone to come in and talk to you about any of these topics, about education and parenting, I am happy to hop in there and help.
Excellent. And your book is dropping soon.
Yes, it's on pre-order, and it will be released on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
I love that.
And then you can always listen to me, talk about different issues and challenges and successes in education by listening to EDU on most major podcast platforms.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being here. Diann, how can we reach you?
Yes, you can reach me at diannfloydboehm.com. And of course, I make it difficult because I spell Diann, D-I-A-N-N, Floyd, F-L-O-Y-D. And it looks like Boehm, B as in boy, O-E-H-M. And there's a story, of course, behind that because I am a storyteller.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to let our audience know that if they want to be part of this platform, they go to abetteryou.tv. And I was streaming that before, but it's abetteryu.tv. And I want to share with you what's coming up. So at 5 o'clock, which is around the corner, Eastern time, I will be jumping into Clubhouse room called Shower and Sing and Shower, or Shower and Sing, or Sing in the, I don't know. It's under the Social Magnetism Club, which is Ben Chai's club. Then at 7 o'clock, we have a brand new show, 7 Eastern time, In the Name of Love with Kimmy Seltzer. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern time, I'll be in another Clubhouse room, which is Connect and Mingle at House Radio. John will be joining us, John Cataldi, House Radio, and Lorianne Speed, who will play live piano music. She's joining us from Vancouver. Tomorrow we have at 12:30 Eastern time, It's Your Stage. This is a show where if you have a talent, let's say you're an author, come on and read your book. You have 32 minutes to do something with that time. You sing, you dance, you juggle, you're a comedian. Then we also have at 2 o'clock a special show. It's Earth Day with my co-host Ben Chai and our guest Kent Swampy Glade. 4 o'clock, it's all about dating with Lisa Manioki. And 6 o'clock, A Better You, another one of these shows. Mariska Duprez will be joining us from New Zealand. On Friday at noon Eastern time, we have fashion, fitness, travel, and leisure with the lovely Diann Floyd Boehm as my co-host. And at 1:30 Eastern time, we have I Have a Story to Tell. 3:30, we have pet psychic Amina and her guest. 5 o'clock, we have Stories of Hope, Inspiration, Overcoming Adversity. And 6 o'clock, we have The Variety Show. And folks, and that's with Lori Mendelson, my co-host. Let me tell you, after that show, it all comes down. The blinds get open, the windows are open, the green screen is down, and I am literally spent for the rest of the weekend. But it's truly been a blast. So thank you for being here. Any last words? Either one of you want to share?
I just want to say thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. This has been so much fun, and it's so wonderful to meet you and Diann and connect with you for this past hour.
Well, thank you. And I hope you'll come back and build a playlist of lessons. And listen, Punam, you might have your own content already. We can work with your own content too. So you've got a message to give out, and we want to help create passive income streams for people. So thank you. Diann.
I always enjoy being on your show. It's such a pleasure, and I'm always learning, and I absolutely love your guests. They're phenomenal, and what a pleasure to meet you, Punam.
Definitely a pleasure to meet you. It's so lovely having you here. So thank you to both of you. I'm going to jump. I've got to go over to Clubhouse. Like I've got to go somewhere, actually just in my phone, but I've got to make dinner for Mom and me first. So,
can I say one more thing?
Yes, of course.
Everybody listening, you must tune in to her new show about Great Britain. Oh my gosh. I listened to it today and I was like, I did not want it to end. So I just had to share that because it was phenomenal.
Thank you. And, I just want to share this because this is how things work. It's so crazy. I told you, well, we were off air, but I shared about how I met Diann. So Ben Shai, who's the one who has the Social Magnetism Club on Clubhouse, he was in another room called Screw the Big Rooms. And the room
I love that room.
Yeah, it's Mike Armstrong's room. He's like one of the leading podcasters. I don't know if just in London or where, but he's going for some world record. And long story short, Ben was on stage speaking. So I reached out to him, and then he came onto the show, interviewed him once, interviewed him twice, I think interviewed him third time. And now he and I have a show called The Underdog. Well, he's connected to Ian Pelham Turner, who happened to see the show, who then reached out to me about having he and Helena join us for this show. So we came up with the title, Celebrate Great Britain, because they have their own platform already. And then Royally Rich is also, you can subscribe to Royally Rich on YouTube, and put them together to try to educate the British people about American culture and then the Americans about British culture. And so today we had Helena and Ian, who are literally royal commentaries. What's the word?
Commentators.
Commentators.
Commentators. Like, imagine me at the 7:00 show. Okay. Royal commentators and also royal photographers. And they've been on every major platform, and now they're doing a show with us, which is great. And then they had the head of the British Etiquette School, Philip Sykes. He was on. We're going to have him back. So thank you for bringing that up, Diann.
You're welcome.
Sorry,
Can't wait for the next one.
Yay! All right, Punam, come back and see us again, please. Diann?
Absolutely. Thank
Talk to you Friday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.